George, one of the big accomplishments of the Trump administration was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed in 2017. And that has, basically was aimed at corporate tax reform. There were provisions aimed at both the corporate side and the individual side. A number of provisions on the individual side, basically, are set to expire in the coming years. And those are different, I would say, than the extenders that we were just talking about. But these are major provisions of a major tax bill. And before we I know Tori wants to get into some of the specifics there. Just as a general matter, in drafting the bill, why was it that not all of the provisions were made permanent?
Well, the short answer is those great Senate budget rules that I know Tori loves so much made it difficult. The House, the original House passed version of the TCJA actually was permanent. The Senate has budget rules that make that harder to do if you're increasing the debt. If the effect is to increase the deficit beyond the first 10 years. And so, I take a step back. I have come around to describing the TCJA as two big pieces of tax legislation stapled together. One is in 1986, Congress did a comprehensive tax reform that was revenue neutral, broadened the base, closed loopholes, got rid of deductions, and used the revenue to lower rates on everybody. Then in 2001, of course, there were the Bush tax cuts, the big Bush tax cuts that were just tax cuts, no offsets, no pay-fors that were set to expire after 10 years. I view the TCJA as like those two bills stapled together. You've got a big permanent revenue neutral tax reform with trillions of dollars of offsets. It's not just tax cuts. And then stapled on top of that is something more like the 2001 pure tax cut on individuals, not on corporations, but set to expire after, in this case, 8 years, not 10 years. And that a lot of that had to do with the legislation being a partisan exercise. Democrats, and I'm not going to play the blame game. I think both sides had reasons not to cooperate with each other. The political incentives lined up that way. But at the end of the day, when you have when you need only Republican votes to pass it, you've got to get 90-something% of those Republican votes to pass it. And to do that, you needed to sort of buy the tax reform part, the 1986 analog, buy it, purchase it with just kind of a big tax cut for individuals, which is kind of the 2001, part. And so, but that, yeah, because of budget rules, the tax cut part couldn't go on beyond the first decade, and so was set to expire after 8 years.